Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to my 5-star predictions reaction. This is a video that I put together around February this year, and there were a bunch of books on my reading list that I thought, you know what, these are going to be amazing and I'm going to love them. And I thought that would be the case for most of them. I haven't gone back and watched this video until now, so you are getting my legitimate reactions to all of the things that I said I'd read. I don't know if I would have read all of them either. I feel stressed and we've only just started, so let's get into the video. Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to my 5-star predictions for 2022. I still haven't read all of my 5-star predictions from last year because I redid last year's video about midway through. So I will reflect on that at some point this year when I catch up on all my reading, but I wanted to do a new year with a new set. So if I catch up on my old stuff, I've also got this video to look back on as well. So the first book on here that I really would love to read and give 5 stars is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This is an adult contemporary book. I read it and then I loved it and I gave it 5 stars, and then I read the sequel and then the next book in that kind of companion series, and I love all of them. So that is a definite tick for the first pick on here. One of those aforementioned fantasy books is Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I've mentioned this before, but not in any great context. I have read this one as well, and given that it's 700 pages, I feel very proud. I loved this book and it's so hard to describe. So Ruin of Kings follows mainly Kieran, and even though it's a split perspective book at a certain point, Kieran is definitely our main character, and he's a thief trying to save up a fortune and then move elsewhere in the city. And while he's thieving and building up his fortune, of which there is not a huge amount, he accidentally goes into the wrong place to steal the wrong thing, and he gets noticed by a demon. And while he gets noticed by a demon, around the same time he also gets noticed by royalty. So it's about these different magics and dangers all coalescing at the same time. So there is politics in the royal crown circles, but there's not too much of that, and there is more so magic and world building around Kieran and a few magical artifacts. And I like that there was a prophecy in here as well, and that there were some key fantasy tropes in here, but they were done in a way that was quite unique and in some ways subverted what I was expecting from them, and that's why I loved this book. I didn't give it 5 stars, I gave it about 4.5, and I've continued and read the sequel and really enjoyed that too, and that was about a 4. So I have the third book on my Christmas wish list, so I'm hoping that I get that soon. If I don't get it, I'll go out and buy it anyway, and that's what I want to read in the upcoming early future. I also have The Black Hawks, which again is another fantasy book, but I think it's got an older male character as the protagonist, and he's in a dead-end job. He doesn't want to work for his uncle anymore. He wants to go home. So I can really get on that sarcastic kind of vibe for this. I don't know if it's multiple perspective or not. I think it's just one character, but this is also pretty underhyped. I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, and I know there's at least one other book. I don't know if it's a trilogy or if it's a duology, but I'm just looking forward to getting into this, to be honest. It says, when invaders throw the kingdom into turmoil, Chell finds opportunity in the chaos. If he escorts a stranded prince to safety, Chell will be released from his oath. It still sounds cool, but I haven't touched it, and I feel bad. But I also knew that it was the beginning of a new series, and because I started Ruin of Kings and a few other book series this year, I was like, I might just put it on hold until January 2023, or just early 2023. I tend to stack my January TBRs quite large and then freak out because I decided to read so much, but I just get very excited. So because The Black Hawks isn't actually that long, it's probably 450 pages for a fantasy that's pretty short. So I think I would try and read it early next year. I think the tone of voice is really going to be great. I still think that I could give it 4 or 5 stars. I think it's going to be great. And then another one that I have very, very briefly talked about before is also a fantasy. It's pirate fantasy though, because I believe it's set on the ocean, and it's called The Bone Ships. Unfortunately, I did not like this one. I got 320 pages, yet I still remember that because I feel so betrayed. I stopped reading and put it down because the writing style was just absolutely not for me. It read incredibly slowly. It felt like I was trying to walk my way through treacle. And the characters just felt very surface level because it wasn't really, or the way the book was introducing and then going forward in its plot, it was just kind of trying to bring all the threads with it at the same time rather than develop a few that hook you in and then weave everything in as you go. But this one kind of brought everything to you at once and laid it down and then continued. And That would be fine if I vibed with the writing style, but because the writing style alienated me and then I didn't care about any of the characters, I was like, I wanted this to have potential, and that's why I stuck with it for so long, because I was really hoping that there would be a plot twist in there that just hooked me and changed my mind. Maybe that happens at the end, but I'm not wasting my time in reading all the way to the end when I'm not actually enjoying the book, so I put it down. This is the opposite to what I predicted, which is unfortunate. And then the last book on this list, I'm keeping it quite short so that it's not too challenging for me to look back on, is The Atlas 6 by, I think, Olivia Blake. And this is a self-published book, but Tor has recently picked it up in America, and I think this has a 2022 mid-year release date or something. So I did read this, I really enjoyed it, and then the sequel to it actually came out this year as well, The Atlas Paradox. So I read The Atlas 6, gave it 4.5 stars, and then read The Atlas Paradox and I gave it 4 stars. So I like the fact that I'm ending this video on a high because I enjoyed both of those, and they are very much dark academia with magic mixed in, and the author really splices queerness, science, and magic all together in an academic format with very morally grey characters. And it's such an interesting palette, and I really enjoyed it because I hadn't read anything like it before. And you want to root for these characters, but at the same time, some of them you're just also just disgusted by, but then you side with them as well. It's very interesting. So I'm really looking forward to more in that world, but I'm just glad I liked them. So 3 likes, 1 DNF, and 1 I haven't started, which has potential, is a pretty good kind of overall feeling for this video. And at the beginning, I said that I had another video from last year that I hadn't reacted to yet, but I think I have. If I haven't, then I've just forgotten about it, and that happens. And now that I've moved house, I've probably unhauled a lot of stuff too. So I'm going to just take this video as my point of where I'm up to date. So let me know down below if you have any books that you said that you would read this year and you haven't got to, or just books that surprised you, because some of the books on here did pleasantly surprise me and they came through with a high rating. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below in the comments, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.